must conform to the common beliefs of the American people. That's what that means. And if they don't comply not only with the law, the federal statute, the state statute, and the greater organic state and federal constitutions, but things that the common man would not approve of, that we will not pay and suretize the acts. We will not insure the instruments of state that are doing it, which means we are not going to vouch for you in commerce or law by what you do. And they need to find somebody else to ensure their behavior, because the way the world works now, this house is a commodity in the market, and that's how they see her. Amelia was telling me before you came on about how they sent this attorney from California, and I said, wow, her daughter's very valuable. They sent a state-paid attorney all the way to another state to misrepresent his case against you. And they had to deny you facts and evidence and coerce you into the forum by kidnapping your child and luring you in there as bait in order to unlawfully attempt to seize her and convey her across state lines.
Yes, because they couldn't lawfully get a seizure, a removal order, or a seizure order lawfully, so they had to do it by force.
Force, threat, duress, and coercion, which is in a violation of the laws of the United States, which makes that an act of treason and sedition, actually, by definition of their own Supreme Court, by the way. They just committed an act of treason and sedition, trying to convey her child across state lines. The way they did.
This is the thing. When I take on a case, I try to be very thorough, and I actually called the local DHS there in Oklahoma, and they conducted a welfare check, and they told me that there were no concerns and that the placement was safe and there was no issue. So Sarah's been there for 8 weeks, and there's been no issue other than them trying to bully her into handing over Sara without an order. They've been calling her, telling her, we're going to put you in jail. They've been telling her all kinds of stuff that is totally untrue. And so what they did was they got a bunch of police and surrounded her by a bunch of police cars with men and guns, and they removed Sara, put her in the back of a police car with this DA from California.
They put her in the car with the DA?
Yeah, and Sara was begging. She was begging.
Okay,
please don't.
Wait. Okay, stop. Time out. They put her, the mother, in a police car with the offending plaintiff.
No, they put my daughter.
They put Sara, her daughter.
My God.
They separated them. They separated.
And they put the property. They put your child, who is your property because you made her.
Yes.
And they seized her on the road in your standard travels, didn't even catch you at home. You were pulling out of a 7-Eleven. They stopped you en masse, stole your child, put her in the back of a cop car. I'm trying to get this. With the plaintiff's counsel and said, follow us.
We're going to the judge. Yeah, we're going to the courthouse.
Yes. My God.
And then they failed to give her a representation as a hearing impaired person, or explain to her the procedures. Not only that, they refused to take her. The clerks refused to take her paperwork on several occasions.
The clerk of the court refused to accept whatever you were allowed to have because you had in your possession.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago. They wouldn't allow me to file anything in court.
Yes. Okay, but not only this. I'm very careful. I'm very careful. Okay.
Wait, Amelia. I want to clarify something before you move forward. What was the clerk's reasoning for not filing it in court when you presented it? Can you hear me,
Lisa?
Are you talking about when I tried to file?
Yes. What was the reason?
They said okay, the judge said Oklahoma does not have jurisdiction, therefore we cannot make any judgment. So I left.
They cannot accept any filing.
Wait. Okay, hold on. So basically, they conveyed your child through demur, which they're like saying, we're going to transfer the stolen property, but we're not culpable. Do you understand what they're doing here? This is the same thing like Rucker-Feldman. And
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
They're like, oh, well, it's not really in our custody, so we're just...
Yeah, but
so basically what they're doing is they're moving...
a court hearing. In Oklahoma at all. Okay,
so basically they conveyed your child. They admitted they didn't have jurisdiction on the record, including the clerk. In fact, the administrator told the clerk, don't accept her paperwork because we don't have jurisdiction.
Not only that, she went before a judge, and the judge she has minute orders that says that Oklahoma doesn't have jurisdiction. This is what I'm trying to get at.
He don't have jurisdiction, but yet he.
So we have this in writing. Not only that, Lotus, listen to this. We have in writing from the DHS that there is no concerns and there's no open case on this mother, and mother has no criminal history.
Oh my gosh. You guys both own California and whatever the other state is. There is nothing...
California is awful. They are awful.
There is no part... It's almost like, okay, this is what I'm going to tell you, and this is where I believe, where God comes forth in me. Sometimes they hand you something so egregious, it's like a dagger, and you're like, how stupid are you? And what that is it's such an adversarial opportunity given us by God, and we're supposed to make divinity out of it. And your child is safe. We know that she's not in the custody of a pedophile. She may be in the custody of hopefully the federal instrument instead of the national instrument instead of the general instrument. The ones that are paying, you have to remember this, the federal government is paying the state to do these acts. They are literally contracting the states to operate supposedly on the better, for the betterment and protection of the child from you, because you are so egregious. You are violating and affecting, because in your case, that's an emergency seizure. They affected emergency seizure outside the federal bonded instrument. And this is where I'm going to tell you that the federal government probably should not be held culpable. The bar unions, yes. The federal instrument should not be held culpable in this act, because this is clearly a bunch of bar union members colluding to undermine the federal instrument and the contract that they're being paid to execute on the betterment and safety and security of the child, which clearly was not followed here.
And so this is where we have an issue, Lotus, because we are having obstacles in finding an attorney. And if anybody's listening to this show and you'd like to represent Lisa and her case with her little girl, Sara, who's
under the confines of the federal statute. I mean, she's just imposed the federal law, people. I mean,
you can contact me, Amelia Duran, at porthole2justice, all one word, at yahoo.com. So we need an attorney at this point.
They need an attorney for the state to step forward to intercede to ensure the actions of these criminals, because this child has been horribly damaged in both.
Well, no, and the state of Oklahoma has now given custody back to the jurisdiction.
God, applause to Oklahoma prudence. I mean,
well, here's the deal, guys.
If I was Oklahoma,
Lotus. Here's the other egregious part of this case that I haven't quite explained, and I don't know if people understand, but when you're not allowed to file anything in court for 4 years, and you've been denied due process, and you have tons of documentation of the courts failing their fiduciary obligations to protect the child, and 4 years of severe medical neglect, and mom tries to call DHS with a advocate, which is myself, and we try to get an investigation open into the new allegation of severe medical neglect, because the child has now has permanent incontinence. Yeah, she has permanent incontinence.
That's substantiated by other titles of nobility members,
doctors, professionals, doctors.
Okay, this is significant because doctors are above attorneys, esquires on the king's hierarchy. Doctors have a higher rank in law than attorneys, and they are overruling. You have attorneys, even in their law, in the law that these title of nobility state people operate in, the doctor has a higher standing of law than the attorney, the esquire.
Well, because when Lisa initially got Sara on the visit, she was in a very fragile state as far as her health. And so I instructed Lisa to take her to the emergency room and to get the doctor's instructions and the doctor's orders. So she has copies and documentation of all of this, and she's enrolled Sara in a series of treatments and tests so that, Sara can get the help that she needs, that she's been denied for the last 4 years. And California is complicit with this medical neglect. They are a part of the issue. And so this is the problem. When you have 4 years of severe medical neglect and you can't even motion the courts to intercede on behalf of the child.
This is a deep ingrained human trafficking paradigm, okay? And it's so fractured with plausible deniability, where there is it's like an octopus or something, that there's a central entity that controls all of it. But that central entity is even above the president, because if you ever read the POTUS structure of cabinets, and he has a bunch of executive orders on creating new committees, and only certain people report to all committees. There is a structure that's inherent in the way that we do things in our world, where deep-rooted malfeasance could be hidden in instruments of state, and no one would know except for people who suddenly go, oh my gosh, did you see what they do? And that's why this case is so egregious, and it's just like Clay's case. I mean, you have these cases, and I've actually spoken to some federal representatives on this.
Well, I want to say that, on behalf of the state of Oklahoma, and I want to thank the chief of operations there locally, who was very kind and cooperative, and he did go out of his way.
He listened.
He did go out of his way to go personally over to the judge's office. And we were able to succeed today in some small way. Hopefully Sara, and I've been informed by him personally that Sara is not going to go back to the offending party.
That's, I hope that good civil
servant. They're not lying. I really hope they're not lying, because
well, we I did speak with the judge's secretary. She did call me back, and they are going to get back to me, and so they're not they're being very nice, and I just want to say on their behalf, I am so grateful for them working with me today, and at least we know you can sleep well tonight, Lisa, and at least you can know that she's not going back to the offender.
And not only that, but your rights have been preserved, and that's the most important thing, because people don't realize that just a cry of "I object" on the record in a court, even in the most egregious circumstances where you feel like a little speck on the floor with all of the tyranny, and I mean, I'm going to tell you that I think it's horrible what you have gone through today, and I feel horrible that people that say that they represent me and my family's heredity and